Oh my goodness. Hello there everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and I was not prepared to show you guys the winter beard just yet. It's not quite done. It needs about another week to just sit there. But who could stay off camera when the trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming finally came out? I didn't think we were gonna be getting this thing for like 5 more months. This is amazing that it finally premiered right now. And if you guys have watched this channel for long enough, then you know that I have said numerous times, Spider-Man is hands down my favorite comic book character of all time. And speaking as a Spider-Man fan, his movie career has had its highs and everything else. Yeah, I've enjoyed the Spider-Man films more than most people simply because I have that personal attachment to the character, but I can't lie, it has been a rough, rocky road for all the Spider-Man fans out there, especially after the last 2 installments. Holy cow. But then Marvel came in, said, we ain't letting you destroy our character anymore, we're taking him back, we're gonna put him in Civil War. And in the 5 to 10 minutes that we got of him in Civil War, I looked at that and went, that is the best this character has ever been portrayed in a movie. And now we are finally going to see what Marvel can do when they give him an entire film. And I gotta say, this trailer left me feeling pretty darn good about it. Okay, I'm going to give you some of the things that I am really positive on about this trailer, but at the same time, I'm also going to cover a couple of the concerns that people are having, including myself, including a couple of concerns that I haven't really heard anybody else bring up. So let's start with the positives. The first positive is just looking at the tone of this film. It feels like what I want out of a Spider-Man film. Because everybody always said, oh, you know, Andrew Garfield, I think he did a better job as Spider-Man, but Tobey Maguire definitely did a better job as Peter Parker. And I've always been sitting there going, I wouldn't entirely agree with either of those statements. Because yes, Tobey Maguire wasn't nearly jokey enough as Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield definitely got that right, but some of his jokes didn't always land. And Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker, he was a little bit too all over the place. He was just kind of feeling whatever emotion the executives wanted him to feel in each scene and just jumped around like crazy from one film to the next. But Tobey Maguire, everybody says, oh, well, you know, he really did capture that feeling of loneliness and isolation and depression that comes with Peter Parker. Here's the thing. That wasn't all that there was to Peter Parker. Yeah, I think that Tobey Maguire did a pretty decent job as Peter Parker. However, his performance, it was very much, oh no, my life, it's so, oh. That was pretty much his entire performance in all of them. Even when he was feeling positive, he would be happy for about 5 seconds, and then life would just shove his head right back down into that toilet. I know there are people out there who are going to say, well, yeah, but that is Peter Parker. Peter Parker is the guy who life is just always crapping on. Peter Parker is the guy who life is just constantly beating down. And yes, that's true. Life is always beating Peter Parker down, but Peter Parker is the guy who, when life beats him down, he picks himself right back up, dusts himself off, and keeps moving forward. As a great man once said, always forward, forward always. And that's what I always loved about Peter Parker. That's why I always kind of felt an attachment to him. That's why that character spoke to so many different people. He's the guy who suffers through the things that so many of us suffer through. And yes, it does have an impact on him. It does weigh on him, but he keeps moving forward. He keeps picking himself back up, and he keeps having a positive attitude about life. Yes, if you go back and read those early Spider-Man comics, like the very first ones, Peter Parker was kind of a jerk, and he kind of was pretty mopey about how bad life was to him. But as other writers came on, they kind of redefined him and turned him more into the Peter Parker that we all love. And that's the Peter Parker that I saw in this trailer. Yes, he was a nerd. He was sitting at the loser's table at lunch. He was looking at the pretty girl going, I could never ever be with a girl like that. But you know what? The movie had a tone of being uplifting. It had a tone of being fun. It had a positive tone to it. That's the tone that I've been wanting to see in these Spider-Man films. And I think it was an amazing idea for them to give him a friend. And the friend is going to be Ned Leeds, which if you have read the comics, you know Ned Leeds was Betty Brand's boyfriend who then got framed for being the Hobgoblin and kind of went crazy because of that. I can't see them doing that with this character simply because I don't think that Marvel is going to come in here and go, let's make every single one of the Spider-Man films be defined as his high school friend going crazy and turning into a goblin. But a lot of people looked at that friend that they gave him and they said, that's not Ned Leeds. That's Genki. That's Genki, Miles Morales' friend from the comics. And Marvel had to come out and go, that's not Genki, that is Ned Leeds. However, he is an overweight guy who is very nerdy and knows Spider-Man's secret identity and is helping him. We even see him playing with like a Star Wars figure in there. It's like, yeah, you kind of gave him Genki's personality. Like none of the things that I just described Ned Leeds. So it does seem to me like they went, well, we gotta give him a name of a character that was attached to Peter Parker, but we all really like Genki. Genki is one of the best supporting characters in a comic right now. We kind of want to give him that character too. And I'll admit, I'm kind of upset about that because I want to see Miles Morales eventually join this universe. And if you're just going to give Miles' supporting cast over to Peter, what's Miles going to have? But I actually have a theory about that, and I will get to that later. Speaking of my crazy theories and things that I love from that very opening of this film in which we see Spider-Man sitting at the loser's table at lunch, we all thought that Zendaya was going to be playing Mary Jane, and then Marvel had to come out and go, no guys, she's not playing Mary Jane. And a lot of people came in here and went, yeah, but you know, we've also been told that Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't going to be Khan, and we saw how that turned out. We know how this works. We know that studios love to come in here and go, no, they're not playing that character, when secretly they're actually playing that character. I saw this trailer and I went, you know what? I'm an old man, so I don't know who Zendaya is, but when I saw her, I went, you know what? She looks like a cool kid. She looks like someone who'd be sitting at the cool kids table at lunch. She looks like somebody who could be a party animal. Those are all the things that define Mary Jane. So yeah, if she is Mary Jane, that totally works. But then we see her in here, and she's wearing like big kind of frumpy clothes. She's also sitting at the loser's table. She kind of comes off a bit like a nerd. Am I the only person who thinks she's playing Gwen? That would be amazing. And I know somebody's going to come in here and say, they said it's not Gwen, they said that it's a character named Michelle. Listen, I have been a long time Spider-Man fan. I can list off almost his entire roster of supporting characters. The only Michelle that I know of from the history of Spider-Man is one that he ran into as an adult who was the sister of a cop who was trying to frame Spider-Man for murder, and the two of them were roommates for like 6 months, and they hated each other, and Michelle was just treating him like crap. But then one night they both got drunk and slept together, and then after that she became like super attached to Peter Parker and just fell head over heels in love with him. She was not one of the best supporting characters from his history. Now I understand that Marvel is probably sitting there thinking, man, we can't use any of the previous supporting characters, otherwise people are going to compare our film to their films, so we have to pick brand new characters. That's why we have Liz Allen instead of Mary Jane. That's why we have Ned Leeds instead of Harry Osborn. But I cannot picture Marvel being so desperate for supporting characters from Spider-Man's wide range of supporting characters that they have to go, yeah, let's use that character who was only around for about 6 months and was just awful, just a bad character. Trust me, I do not think that her name in this film is actually Michelle. I think that is the fake name that they gave us, so that way it would surprise us when she comes out and reveals who she really is. And as I said, based on what little we saw in here, I can totally see her as Gwen Stacy. And again, I will get to why that has me excited in just a little bit. Next thing that has me excited. I actually was pretty nervous when I heard that the Vulture was going to be the villain in here, simply because I don't care about the Vulture. Listen, I know he's one of Spider-Man's biggest villains, but even as a kid, I was like, so he's just an old dude with like a furry collar and wings and that's it? This guy's a threat? And yeah, they've done some cool stuff with him over the years. In fact, the way that they're interpreting him right now in the comics is actually pretty darn impressive. But yeah, I just don't care about the Vulture. I mean, on my list of characters that I want to see pop up in a Spider-Man film, he is way down there. He actually looked badass in this trailer. I gotta admit, they actually won me over when I actually saw him in action. And yeah, I'm kind of upset that Michael Keaton is playing him simply because Michael Keaton would make an amazing Norman Osborn. An amazing Norman Osborn, an amazing Roger Kingsley if you wanted to have him be the Hobgoblin. But if he has to be the Vulture, then, you know. Alright, although I have to say, I kind of find it interesting that Michael Keaton just got done making a film called Birdman, where he talked about how hard it was to be taken as a legitimate actor after playing a superhero for so long, and the superhero was a bird-themed one, and Marvel saw that and went, we need to hire this guy to be our bird-themed supervillain. Also, speaking of supervillain related stuff that has me excited, as I mentioned back before this trailer came out and back before we learned that the Vulture was going to be the villain, I actually made a top 10 video in which I talked about the top 10 villains that I wanted to see in the new Spider-Man film, and one of the villains I put on there was the Superior Foes. Now, for anybody who doesn't know who the Superior Foes of Spider-Man are, they are a group of his loser B, C, and D class villains who all came together, and they had their own series, and the series was basically a look at what it's like to be a supervillain in the Marvel Universe through the eyes of some of the most corrupt and goofy and stupid and uncoordinated supervillains out there. It was Boomerang, Shocker, Overdrive, Speed Demon, and the new Beetle. It was great. I highly recommend checking that book out. In fact, I believe 2 years ago I actually named it my book of the year because it was so darn clever and hilarious. I highly recommend everybody check that book out. But I put them on the list of villains that I want to see in this movie because I said, you know what? Most of Spider-Man's villains aren't such huge threats that they need to be the central focus of the movie. In fact, most of his villains, who I would say should be the big threat in the film, have already been used. So I would love to see some of his minor villains actually start popping up just for Spider-Man to beat them down, just to be there for a moment for Spider-Man to stop them from robbing a bank, and then he goes about his day just to show us what Spider-Man can do and just to, you know, kind of build his world, kind of build all the characters around him, kind of give him a rogues gallery. In this trailer, not only in the international trailer do we actually see the Shocker, we actually see a guy with the little gauntlet, and he's actually got yellow sleeves, so it's like, alright, you are giving him a Shocker-like outfit. However, this is just a crazy theory, and I would love to see this happen. When this trailer opens, we see him stopping 4 idiots from robbing a bank, all wearing crappy superhero Halloween costumes. And it's a great scene. I love his line about, hey, you're not the real Avengers. That's a great Spider-Man line. The moment I saw that, all I could think was, please, for the love of God, tell me that's Boomerang, Overdrive, Speed Demon, and Beetle. Please tell me that's who they are. We already got Shocker in there, so you don't have to have him be part of this crew. Unless it turns out that he actually is one of the guys wearing the mask. I don't think he is, but he is. That'd be amazing. Just name them that, and then have Spider-Man beat them down. Then in the sequel that comes out in 2 years, have them pop back up again, but now they're in really crappy homemade supervillain outfits, and they're like, yeah, Spider-Man, now we're gonna fight you on your turn. And they just beats them down again. Then in the third film they show up, and now they've got actual professional tech, and Spider-Man beats them down again. Just make them the recurring punchline of this cinematic universe where they're the crappy supervillains who keep popping up, just get beaten down. I so hope that actually happens. But alright, those are the things that got me incredibly excited about this trailer. Let's get into one of the things that got people really concerned about this trailer, and I'll admit, I was really concerned about it too, until I stopped and thought about why they were doing it. I'm of course referring to the fact that this really looked like the trailer for Iron Man 4. I mean, we knew Tony Stark was going to be in here, but Tony Stark is all over the place in this trailer. Now, as I said, if the 3 scenes that we saw him in this trailer was it, I'd be okay with that. That seems like a decent amount of scenes to put Tony Stark in here in order to have him be like a mentor figure to a young Peter Parker. In fact, as we know, Peter Parker did actually look up to Tony Stark when he was a kid, so I think it's actually pretty cool that they have Tony Stark in here being a mentor figure to him. I actually do want to see him pop up in Peter Parker's life, so I'm fine with him being in the film, but a lot of people were concerned that he was going to just be all over this movie, and yeah, that is kind of the vibe that this trailer gave me. However, then I stopped and thought about why they would do this in the trailer and why they would do it in the film. First off, the reason why they put him so much in this trailer is because, let's be honest, you guys out there watching this video right now, you're probably well aware of all the weird legal problems that Spider-Man's gone through about how Sony owned the character, and now this is a Sony-Marvel cross deal so they can bring Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that this Spider-Man is separate from all the other Spider-Man. But the other 50% of moviegoers out there are all sitting there thinking, oh my god, they're rebooting Spider-Man again? How many times are they gonna do this? Even though Spider-Man popped up in Civil War, they would still look at this trailer and go, geez, a brand new one? Another Spider-Man? However, you put Tony Stark in this trailer, that is a very clear way to tell that audience, no, this is different. This is not like those other things. This is not some weird side universe. This is going to be set firmly in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that you love and that you love to go out and see all the movies from. So this is not like those other films. The other reason why I fully believe that Disney is putting Tony Stark in this film as much as they are is because, as I said, this is a cross deal between Sony and Disney. Sony can still pick up their ball and go home anytime they want. They can still just leave and go, yeah, we don't want to work with you guys anymore. We got our Spider-Man. Thanks for fixing Spider-Man for us. Now we're just going to take it and do our own thing. I fully believe that them putting Tony Stark in here this much is Disney reaching out and grabbing Sony by the scruff of the neck, bringing them in and going, listen, you idiots, you have wrecked our character for too long. We are going to rebuild Spider-Man, but we're going to do it in a way that makes him so dependent on the existence of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that if you ever try to leave us, then you will never be able to make Spider-Man again. If you ever want to use another Spider-Man, including the Spider-Man that we fixed for you, you have to keep him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and work with us. Disney don't play, you guys. So if that's the reason why they did this, then I fully understand it and I'm actually okay with it. However, as I said, a lot of people are also upset because they basically just picked up Genki from the Miles Morales supporting cast and gave him to Peter Parker. But I am actually kind of okay with this, and the reason why is because I really want Miles Morales to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you look at the trend of all the Marvel films, the second film is when the hero gets a supporting hero. We got War Machine in Iron Man 2. We got the Falcon and Winter Soldier in Captain America 2. I can fully see them in the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel going, now's the time to start introducing other Spider people. So I can fully see Ned Leeds coming in here in this sequel and going, oh, by the way, this is my friend from another school down in Brooklyn. You haven't met him before. His name is Miles. We hang out all the time. And that's how you get Miles Morales in the film. And as I said, I really hope that Zendaya is actually playing Gwen Stacy. And also, there have been rumors that they have cast another actress in there to play Cindy Moon, who, if anybody follows the current comics, you know that she is another Spider-themed hero called Silk. I really hope that the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel is called Spider Island, in which the Jackal starts giving everyone in Manhattan Spider-Man powers. Everything starts going crazy. Peter starts going, oh god, who can I turn to for help? And then he turns to his friends, Gwen, Cindy, and Miles, and goes, time for us to suit up. And at the end of the film, everyone in Manhattan gets cured, everyone loses their spider powers, except for those three. They stick around as Spider-Gwen, Silk, and the new Spider-Man. And then you would not only have the Peter Parker Spider-Man movie that Marvel gets to keep making, but Sony has said they want to build a whole Spider-Man universe. They want to have a whole Spider-Man cinematic universe full of supporting characters who they start making films about. Then Sony can leave Marvel to keep making Peter Parker films, and they go, that's cool. We now are going to go out and make a Miles Morales film, we're going to go out and make a Spider-Gwen film, we're going to go out and make a Silk film, and I'm totally okay with that because A, I love every single one of those characters, and if you want to make movies about each of them, I am totally fine with that. But also, Sony has not made the best Spider-Man films, so if you gave them those three characters, they'd have to get one of them right. But also, they would then leave Peter Parker over to Marvel, so even if they screw up one of those characters, we'd still have Marvel just making good Peter Parker films. So I'm being pretty positive on this film. However, I just have to say this right now. There is one thing that has me very concerned about this film, and it's not something that was in this trailer. It's just something that I feel like I need to put out there right now to let you guys know, no matter how much I want this to be good, I'm going to keep my expectations back just a little bit. Because two of the screenplay writers on this movie were also the screenplay writers on the Vacation film. Not the old classic Vacation films, no. I'm talking about the Vacation film that came out last year with Ed Helms. Now, for anybody who is a longtime fan of this channel, you know that every single January, I go back and look at all the films that came out in the year before that in my quest to find the worst movies of the year. I look at every single film that people said were terrible, and I watch them all within the span of a week because apparently I hate myself. I have actual legitimate reasons for why I do that, but I do it every single year, and last year, the Vacation film was way up there on my list of worst films of the year. I hated that movie, so when I heard that these guys were going to be writing the Spider-Man film, I wanted to slap Marvel as a whole entity and just go, why on earth, when you finally got your main character back and finally got the opportunity to make a film about him, you handed it over to these guys? Why would you do that? So, I'm a little bit nervous about this film. The trailer looked good, but, you know, as I saw this year with Suicide Squad, it's not hard to make a really good trailer for a really terrible film. But, when it comes to Marvel, a lot of people who work on Marvel films go, yeah, you know, it's basically just the guys at the top. They basically just tell us what to write, and then we write it. We go in there and we speak with Kevin Feige, and he's the guy who really kind of comes in and defines the story and builds it. This is one of those few times where I'm really hoping that's true. Normally I'd say, you know what, if that's the case, Marvel needs to loosen up, let the creators actually have a little bit more freedom. However, if these are the two who they hired on to make this film, I'm really hoping that A, they just didn't care about Vacation and were like, yeah, screw it, it's a pain gig, we'll just pound this out in a weekend. But this they actually care about and are actually like, okay, this is our opportunity to do something really good, so we gotta try on this. Or B, I'm really hoping that Kevin Feige just came in and went, listen, we already wrote this script ourselves. It's done. We just need someone's names to put on the credits. And you two got lucky enough to be picked. So I'm hoping that's the case, but I want everybody to know, no matter how excited over the next 7 months you see me getting about this movie, that is going on in the back of my mind. So yes, that's my reaction to the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer and also all my weird, crazy theories that I would love to see coming in the sequel that hasn't even started getting planned yet. I am really excited about this film, can you tell? So let me know in the comments down below how you felt about this trailer, and if you liked this video and you want to see my eventual review of this film in 7 months, man, I am playing stuff way far in advance. But if you want to see that, then make sure that you click that subscribe button. Also, check out some of my other Spider-Man related videos that are going to be coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2. See you, everybody!